we're in a new era of just pharmacologic amazing things. They got
Uh,
amazing stuff out there now that addresses real illness. The problem is that they're too quick to prescribe it and don't give people opportunities to see if they could help themselves that don't require medication.
yeah.
Because every medication has side effects.
Hmm.
Most medications have multiple side effects. So when it comes to mental illness,
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Paradise Pump. And the usual suspects, me, Jed, Mel. And we have a special guest today. His name is Pablo. Pablo Stewart. What's
yes,
going on? He is the officially the oldest member here at Iron Hawaiian Fitness. So,
Mind you, it's Dr. Pablo.
well, doctor, we'll go
yeah, we'll go
doctor. I always call him Pablo. So, but
we'll go with
I
Pablo
guess,
today. But everybody
okay.
knows I'm a doctor. My
He's
mother was very
he's
proud of me, but
official.
we don't need to keep doing that.
Well, you earned it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So he is. So how old are you, Pablo?
I'm 73 and I'll be
Yeah,
74 in a couple months.
nice. So how many years you been working out, man?
I was thinking about that. I've always was active as a kid. I
Yeah.
liked sports. I liked running around. I never was any good at sports, but it didn't stop me. So I always played baseball and football, growing up. And then at different times in my life, I've lifted weights and done strength training and then gotten away from it. And then now I'm on a good push for about the last 10 years of
Oh, okay.
heavy strength training.
Oh, wow. That's great. Because you were in the Marine Corps, right?
I was after college. I served in the Marines. I
Mm-hmm.
was an officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Oh
service.
no, it's I see. I'm one of those crazy Marines. I loved every second of it.
All right, cool. So, what was your job duty there with the
I
Marines?
was an infantry officer,
Fun. Okay.
so shooting people and blowing shit up.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
That's great.
That,
What year was that?
that was 73, 78,
Oh, wow. Kind of the end of Vietnam
end
era.
of Vietnam, exactly.
Did you go there at all?
I got a little taste, but
Mm,
I was at the tail end, so
okay.
I don't want to present myself as some kind of big war hero. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I served.
Well, that's cool. So I see you in here all the time. How many days a week are you working out?
Right now, when I'm in town, meaning Honolulu,
Yeah.
I try to get here at least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Um, I travel a lot for my work. I still work a lot. And when I'm traveling, I always try to pick out hotels that have hotel gyms, but they're
Hmm.
hotel gyms. But, if you really try, you can get kind of a workout in, nothing like this great
Yes.
gym.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm here all the time, I like to get 5, sometimes 6 days in.
Oh, wow. So you're a doctor, psychology, right?
I'm a
Or
psychiatrist.
psychiatrist. Okay.
So that means I'm a medical doctor with a specialty in mental illness. And then for me, I have a specialty in forensics, meaning that I work in the legal system. I
Oh.
I work within correctional settings, like the OCCC jail here in Honolulu. I
Hmm.
worked at. Uh, I consult about correctional mental health, which is providing mental health care to incarcerated people around the
Okay.
country. I do that. But I also do criminal defense work. And my specialty in that is defending people that are accused of murder.
Oh, wow. Interesting. We talk a lot on here about mental health because
Yeah,
this generation now, and then how things are, and a lot of people are here, working out
yeah,
for their mental health, physical, but also mental health. And
yes.
how do you feel about all that stuff? Like,
Oh man, you know, for a long period of time when I wasn't strength training, I was a very serious marathon runner.
oh, okay.
And I'm a skinny guy now, but I was even like 20 pounds lighter because I
Wow.
was actually very competitive.
Mhm.
And if I didn't run, if I had to took a day off or 2 days off, I started crashing because it
Yeah,
was such a energetic rush to exercise.
yeah,
And then when I started transitioning into strength training, when I had some good coaching and I could achieve that same energetic rush by lifting weights. So now I'm hooked.
Yeah. So do you do any type of TRT or anything like that?
No, uh, no, I when I wasn't getting as big as I thought I should be getting,
Hmm.
I went to the doctor. I'm a doctor, so I went to colleagues and I said, "Hey, how's my testosterone?"
Yeah.
And the guy, we did a bunch of tests, every blood test known to man, and he said, "Hey, sorry, it's not your testosterone, man. Probably you're not working hard enough."
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
So
not
'cause
eating enough. Yeah.
it wasn't a testosterone issue.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Oh, so you feel good, like your energy is
Yeah.
good, everything.
Yeah. No, I feel great.
Yeah.
Um, it's that since I don't have a trainer now, I have to rely on myself to push myself, and that's always a challenge.
Hmm.
You think, oh, maybe this is enough I could do. Or, if you had a trainer, you could maybe do a little more.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's my approach, and it's good for mental health. It's good for physical health. It's good for everything that I do now. It makes traveling easier. It makes changing time zones. So I go to the East Coast once a month,
Oh, do you really?
and
Wow.
so that's 6 hours time zone, and I've got a way that I can work the first day rather than needing to take a day off because I'm in good physical shape.
Hmm.
So I can't speak highly enough about strength training.
Yeah.
So how long now have you been strength training?
Uh, I moved to Hawaii this time. I lived in Hawaii a while back, but I moved to Hawaii this time for good in 2018. So I was strength training before I came, but I really picked it up. So what is that? 7 years
Seven,
of
eight
good,
years.
consistent strength training.
Oh, that's crazy. That's interesting. Oh, so I mean, you kind of started late, typically for most people getting into work, like lifting weights. You were, like you said, you were running, so you were exercising, but it wasn't like gym stuff. So,
Yeah, like okay, so in college, I try to play football because
mhm.
that's when normal sized people could still play.
Yeah, right.
And this is like back in the late 60s, early 70s. Um, so I strength trained then.
Okay, okay.
I strength trained in high school.
All right.
Uh, but then when I got in the Marines, I strength trained a little bit, but I was mainly running.
Hmm.
That was my most important skill when you're in the Marines. You got to be able to
Gotta
run.
run.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Run and shoot. The so it's interesting. So I mean, you're, typical retirement age, you're kind of past that. Like, is that something that you've thought of retiring? Is that even a word that you use, or you're just gonna keep working until you just don't want to do it anymore?
The whole retirement uh, strategy has really changed since I've been an adult.
Mhm.
So before it was you work till 65, you get Social Security, you get Medicare, and then you just sort of check out.
Yeah.
And then as I got closer to that age, and I'm still in good shape, I'm still working out, I'm still liking to do things.
Hmm.
And I had a really sweet job at University of Hawaii teaching students about psychiatry. I said, well, why should I retire?
Okay.
I'm still having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the money wasn't bad either. So there was a lot of incentives to keep going. So
Hmm.
now, like I said, I'm going to be 74 this year. As long as I can still be a contributing, uh, I can still contribute to my field. Like
Yeah.
as long as I could still, when I take these murder cases that are very complex, if I could still consult with the attorneys in a way that can help the case,
Mhm.
uh, it- when I can consult with, I consult with state prison systems, for example. As long as I could do that and help the people that need the care, I'll still do it.
Oh
And
well.
if I find that I'm not able to do that anymore, then I'll graciously sort of back out. But so far, so good.
I mean, for your age, you said it's going to be 74,
Yeah.
and you still maintain like mental acuity and like you're very cognizant of the things and your strength and everything is still there. So why retire, right? You're still having fun in it.
Yeah. It'd be different if I was a bricklayer,
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
or,
Hard on your body.
oh yeah, that's hard on the body. So my work is more cerebral, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And as long as my brain keeps hanging in there,
Yeah,
you
because we
know,
Yeah.
see a lot of people, I mean, with the food, water, air in that we're consuming now, the mental decline you see it rapid in their 50s and they just end up falling off that curve. Not too many of them keep their sharpness anymore.
Well, I really look at that because that's one of my concerns
Hmm.
is, but I have some good longevity in my family.
Hmm.
Mm.
My mother lived to be 98.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Her older sister lived to be 94. My uncle smoked and drank every day of his life, and he lived to be 88.
Wow.
Um,
Yes.
so I have that genetic part, but also you got to take personal responsibility.
Yes.
So I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't smoke cigarettes. Um, I try to eat as healthy as I can. I have family that I stay connected with. I love working because it really gives mental stimulation, and I work out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to do everything I can to prolong my work life because I
Yeah.
love it so much.
And you're a true testament to say if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
You know, uh, for me now, this last couple years, it really is. Before you work out, I said, yeah, I got a good pump today. I'm feeling good. I'm moving up, I'm achieving my goals. Now it's almost, how can I say it? It's a requirement to stay healthy. So it's no
Mm.
longer optional from my perspective. If I stop working out to the extent that I do now, I don't know what would happen to me. And I'm not going to do that because I enjoy being healthy.
Hmm.
Well, let's talk about your eating habits. How many meals a day do you think you eat?
When I'm here in Hawaii, maybe two and a half.
Okay,
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
I like to intermittent fast.
Yeah.
So I don't have my first meal until maybe 11 a.m., noon.
Hmm.
And then I work out in the afternoon. That's the time that I find works for me. And then maybe I'll have after I come back from the gym, I'll have a protein rich meal and then maybe something a little small later on. So I eat from about 11 a.m. noon till about 7.
Okay, in that window, and
Yeah,
you like that? Feels
yeah,
good for you, yeah.
yeah. And I try to do heavy protein,
Mm.
but it's hard.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think you need as much anyway nowadays. I mean, to be honest, you'd probably be fine. That's how I do it. I eat later in the day, in the morning, sometimes 10, 11, sometimes noon, and then I'll eat till maybe 8 o'clock at night or something. That's how I usually
Yeah,
eat. So I'll eat maybe 2, 3 meals at most. So I'm already doing that, you see,
th-
because
that,
it
that's
just feels better.
yeah,
Yeah, it feels
that's
better.
kind of what you just described.
Yeah,
It's kind of how I eat.
yeah. Now, do you take vitamins and supplements and stuff?
I take so I really try to do this scientifically. Consider myself, a medical doctor. I sort of go on science and
Mhm.
studies and data. So I do supplements.
Yeah.
I do collagen. I do fish oil.
Mhm.
What else do I do? I do a multivitamin. I saw a study that even one multivitamin a day decreases your overall mortality from all causes by 5%, just adding a multi. So I do, what did I say? Collagen, fish oil, a multi. I do the supplement called K2D2
Yeah, I know that.
to help clear the arteries of
Mhm.
calcium. Um, I do branched chain amino acids.
Okay.
Um, and what else? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's a good little stack.
Oh, and then a little ashwagandha thrown in there just to sort of
Oh,
as,
okay.
as a little
Yeah,
chill out.
Mel's a
Yeah,
big, she's a
I'm big
huge
on
supplement
yeah,
fiend. So
I'm pretty
she's our resident supplement expert over here. So
no, I'm pretty big on supplementation because I honestly believe, like I mentioned before, the food, water, everything that we consume, we're not getting the adequate amount of nutrients anymore.
Right. No, I agree.
Hmm.
yeah.
Out of curiosity, so you at your age, you see people about the same age as you or about your peers, are they relative to the same in health as you are or conscious of their own health?
it's interesting. I never knew this before. I had a good idea that I was one of the older guys, not the oldest guy that comes to this gym on a regular basis. So that sort of speaks about my peers.
Yeah.
They're not here,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and
That's
then
true.
working in the hospital, doctors are some of the most unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
people I know. They work all the goddamn time. They eat real quick, those little sandwiches in the
Mhm.
plastic wrap, and drink a cup of coffee, and they think they're getting good nutrition. So most of I don't have a peer group that works out like me.
Wow.
Doesn't make me special. I'm just saying I'm sure there are, but I
Yeah.
don't know where they are.
No, that's
Interesting.
amazing. I hope when I'm about your age that I'm still in the gym, what, five days a week, 6 days maybe? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he comes in and
That's
hits it pretty good.
awesome.
Yeah. That is, I know.
And there are a lot of people that are your age in the 70s. Majority of them need assisted living, and you're here just doing the things, right?
You know, I couldn't even imagine that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, uh, my mother needed assisted living near the end of her life, but that's when she was in her 90s.
Wow.
Her older sister in her 90s, uh, she had a non-healing ulcer on her leg, and the doctors wanted her to take her leg off. She said no, and then she died from that. But she was with it, walking every day, and still doing a lot of stuff in her mid-90s. Who knows what's going to happen? But I have young grandchildren, so I that's the motivating factor for me.
Yes.
I want to see them grow older.
Definitely a great will to live. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where were you raised?
Well, I was born in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and I went to high school there. And then after high school, this was this was during Vietnam era. I graduated from high school in 1969.
Oh, I was born in 68, so.
Yeah, that's okay, Mark. Uh, Way to make a guy feel good.
I know.
Uh, and everyone in my neighborhood, I grew up in East Los Angeles. We weren't.
Oh, East
I don't.
LA.
I don't want to say I was from the ghetto, but looking back on it now, I was.
Man, this guy's such a humble man.
East LA.
Don't need to call me doctor. I wasn't part of the
Uh,
war.
Yeah.
Not part of the ghetto.
but
It's okay.
but most of my guys that I knew in my neighborhood were all joining the service,
Mm.
either being drafted or enlisted. And I was fortunate in that I always did well in school. So I got sent to the college prep high school across town. And from there, I wanted to be in the military. So I applied and was accepted to the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis. So that's where I went to college at Annapolis.
You went to Annapolis.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So that was how I got commissioned in the Marine Corps,
Hmm.
from Annapolis. And that's where I also did all my pre-med requirements at Annapolis.
And wow. What year did you graduate college?
73.
73. Okay.
And then I served till 78.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate. And then I applied to medical school my last year in the service, and I got accepted that
Mm.
first year. So I just didn't have a break. I just went right to
Right
medical
into
school.
where?
Yeah.
What school was that?
At University of California in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. That's cool. So how come you chose to stay here in Hawaii now?
Well, I lived in San Francisco from 78 till 2018,
Mm.
almost nonstop. But during the course of that time, I was working, I call myself a community psychiatrist. So I wasn't working for a private office or anything like that. I'd worked public hospitals, I'd worked in jails, I worked in free clinics, drug and alcohol clinics. And San Francisco always was sort of ahead of the curve for drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm.
So I had a lot of experience and not too many other people had. So I had some contacts here, friends that were here in Hawaii. They asked me to start coming out to train people
Hmm.
about, like, methamphetamine. Now methamphetamine is everywhere,
Yeah.
but I had been treating methamphetamine since the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started making my Hawaii connection. And then people asked me if I come and I was a child welfare psychiatrist for the state for a number of years here while I was still living in San Francisco.
Oh.
So finally, I was offered a faculty position at UH, and I said, that's it. I'm coming full time. 'Cause I had a house here since 99.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
come back and forth. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's nice here. So
Yeah.
So during your stay here as well, how did you come across this gym?
Okay. So starting, let's say 2018, I was always a 24-hour fitness guy.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. That's where I
Yeah.
started. San Francisco was 24-hour fitness guy. So I came here and I was a 24-hour fitness guy. And at the 24-hour fitness in town, I met this trainer uh, uh, that then trained me at 24-hour fitness. And then he said, "Look, I'm moving to a different gym. Would you come to me?"
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up here.
Okay.
Hmm.
We had a brief stop at Ikaika Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was right at COVID and all this sort of stuff. And then he said, "We got this other gym that's open all the time, and all you got to do is wear a mask, and you're real healthy." So I came here, and that must have been
2020.
2020.
I remember when he brought you over.
Yeah. And so I've been here ever since.
Yeah.
So you fell in love with this place. What about this gym sets apart from every other gym that you've been to, or like a 24-hour fitness?
Okay. Yeah, no need to knock 24-hour fitness. They do okay for what
Yeah.
if you want to work hard there, you could still do it. But when I came here, I was like, holy man, like you have 10 leg machines, and for a leg machine that you could do this one, and then you could do a different angle, then you could do your quads, and then you could do a quad and hamstring and all these other sort of things. I said, this is amazing. Um, Same with upper body, pull, push. You have so many different options here that I really liked because wasn't doing the same thing over and over again. And I noticed
Mhm.
that I was starting to respond by really mixing it up. Uh, so just the equipment here, the attitude, people are real friendly, they're very welcoming. And I tell you, it's very motivating to come here
Yes.
because you see guys and women. It isn't just the guys, some big, strong dudes working out. It's motivating,
Yes.
and they're real kind to me. I asked them, I said, "Hey, well, how about this?" They said, "Oh yeah, try this." And so it's all of that, the equipment, the attitude, the place that's why I love this place. And when my kids come from the mainland, I uh, I bring them here and we work out here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. I met them before. So
yeah,
dinner. Yeah.
That
That's
is
cool,
so
man.
awesome that you like this place that much. It's a really a cut above the rest. Like I was telling Mark before, he put in so much thought and effort into specific equipments here. That's why I personally love this place myself. And for the mass monsters that do come in here, they come in here, train hard. They're so nice. They're kind. I mean, yeah, you can't beat this place. I
yeah,
fell in love with this place too.
yeah. And people are real generous. Meaning, I look at them. I said, "May I ask you a question?" I said, "Why do you hold it this way, or why do you turn like this?" And they said, "Oh, it's because I'm working on this particular thing," and I learned that way.
Yeah, I know that's good. Everybody in here is really cool. Like I know there's especially like commercial dreams a lot of times. There's a lot of interesting people in there or they won't talk to you sometimes. Some people are nice, but there are some people that are I want to say rude, just
And,
standoffish.
another thing here is that people here have good gym etiquette. They
Mm,
clean up after
yes.
themselves. They wipe down the benches. They put their stuff away for the most part,
Yeah.
and they don't hog a particular thing because there's a lot of guys would like to do the Smith machine, for example.
Yeah.
And so a guy does his work and gets the hell out so someone else can come in. So I really like that because you go to 24-hour fitness, guys like, set up housekeeping
Oh, they
Yeah.
don't care.
at a particular place and you
Yeah.
can't do what you'd like to do.
And that has to do with people that come here kind of know that. Like they know that that's part
Gym
of it.
etiquette. Yeah.
They understand it. So the people that don't want to be like that, they're just not going to come here. Because there are guys that are like that. They just don't. They want to be like what you said. They want to sit on equipment and they don't want to put their stuff back. Like I feel like it's on purpose. Like the guys over there, like that's how they want to be.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They can stay over there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No,
Just
exactly.
stay over there. That's cool.
Here
You can
as
do your
well too,
thing.
despite, like people are pretty hardcore in or intense in their training, but it's like not a problem to ask them for a spot or
Yeah.
not like how I feel like in some commercial gyms, they purposefully put their headphones on and head down and hoodie on and they just try to avoid people. I mean, it's hard to engage. And here, everybody is so friendly and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to talk to you at all. Because like you come from a whole different generation, even different from my generation.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I'm, Gen X, right? So you're what, baby boomer?
I'm baby boomer.
Yeah, baby boomer, right? So
Baby
you're baby
boomers
boomer.
rule.
I'm a Gen X, right? So it's two different generations, right? So, like, do you feel? I mean, what's your thoughts on, the younger generation, say in their 20s, maybe even 30s, like how, because all those people now, right? They're the ones that are going to be basically running this country in the next,
Oh, that's a
10, 20 years,
scary
right?
thought.
Yeah.
So what do you
Well, see,
see?
it's different. So we're talking about the gym people here. The
Yeah.
gym people here are
Yeah.
dedicated and motivated and strong.
Hmm.
But the overall, you go out in the see, I had a problem when I came here working in the hospital. Not just because I was in the Marine Corps, but just you know, my approach towards things was more intense and more, guys are complaining they got to work 8 hours. Say, 8 hours? What the hell's wrong with you? That's nothing.
Yeah.
I'll cover two services for 8 hours.
Oh,
And they
wow.
look at me, so that's too much. I said, no, it's not. So to answer your question, and I'm not trying to say that the baby boomers are the tough people, because a lot of wimp ass people in my generation. But I see that people coming up now are a little weak. They're
Hmm.
weak. Not they don't have that same sort of motivation.
Yeah. See, and do you think that maybe part of that, the reason why is maybe the internet generation, the social media generation? Like, do you think that stuff has caused some of these issues? Like, you know, different mindset now because of that stuff?
You
Because
know,
people are too into their phones and
you know, that's the question that people ask. Why are people, stuck to their phone all day?
Mm,
Uh, and why are people weak? And why are people not as motivated as people
right,
appeared to be in the past?
right.
It's a lot of factors. It's all that internet stuff, certainly. Um, but it's people. You know, it, I heard the term the other day. It's gentle parenting.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and I'm not about child abuse,
Yeah.
Right.
but I'm also about strict. We set this, we do this, we have these expectations,
Mm,
and the kids that like that, I found, and they meet you where you are on that. But if you have like said, oh, everything is okay, and all this sort of relativism, it ends up that kids need a more stern model.
uh-huh.
Yes.
You know,
Speaking about a stern model, besides what they see on social media, what a lot of people fail to forget is like who's the adult in the relationship, right? Between the child and parent. It I'm not a parent, but I do have a lot of nieces and nephews. That was one thing that my older sister, when she had her daughters, have to instill in me. You're not their friend, you're their auntie. You're the adult. And I was like, oh shit. Oh yeah, you're right. So I got not reprimanded early, but I was crazy before in my twenties
Oh
and
yeah.
thirties.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I'm the cool auntie though, but the kids know like, oh, okay, she means business. There's laws.
yeah,
She's stern about her decisions that we're making. I'm very adult and prefrontal cortex, matured prefrontal cortex decisions that we're making
yeah.
here. We still can have fun, but it'll be,
I
proper.
insist that I have two granddaughters and two grandsons. The boys are still real young. The oldest just a year and a half. But the two girls are like 5 and 3. And so I insist a certain type of behavior.
Yeah.
So when we go out to eat, we don't start throwing
Yeah.
shit around. We always say please and thank you. We always
Yes.
do this. We always show your gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And after a while, that's what they do
Yep.
because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
Like my nieces and nephews, when I call them, they all know it's not huh or what. It's yes. They all are like that. Huh? Huh? No.
Yeah. I'll give you, huh?
What's your thoughts, Jed, on this
On this soft
generation,
generation.
this soft generation, man?
Well, like I said before, convenience is a lot has something to do with it because people don't really have to work hard to get anything. They can just order it and it gets sent to their house. And yeah, I notice, where I'm from, the manual labor is mandatory thing growing up on the weekends. Like, I remember me and my brother got jobs because we got tired of chopping wood around the house all weekend. So it was like, we might as well get paid if we're gonna work, because that's what it was. He would chop down a tree, and my dad go sit in the house. He'd be like, cut that shit up. That's what we did all day. So I mean, and that teaches kids things. It hardens kids. I could, you know, um, we could get a rainstorm and wash out the driveway. Me and my brother would know exactly what to do because we've done it 100 times.
Mhm.
These kids now, they're just so used to technology and having things done for them. If the power went out, they'd be the first ones eaten by zombies. They wouldn't even make it. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not too many men know how to men anymore with this generation. I'm sorry I said that, but like
No,
how
say,
Jed,
say that again.
a lot of men don't know how to be
Oh,
men
They
in
don't
oh
this
yeah.
be men, right,
generation.
No,
right.
I absolutely
And I'm
agree.
not talking
Yeah.
about like the whole monetarily being able to support and all of that, just doing manly things, like
Yeah.
me and Jed joke around all the time about building things and creating and all of that. Like I personally don't want to do it, but because of society, I mean, I've learned to. But as I think more men need, like you were saying, good mentors.
Yeah.
Parents need to be parents, not your kid's best friend.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
parents want to be best friends. They don't want to be parents. They don't want their kids mad at them. It's like that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen because I watch a lot of these, on YouTube, and they have a lot of these. They're like police videos, right? Basically, they're like the police cameras that they're the body cams, and then somebody will post them online after this could be a year-old video, whatever, but they'll show these different cases,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting how many times I've seen people that were young, they're probably early 20s, and maybe they're doing something that they're not supposed to. And the cop is being very nice and he's like, you need to go. And they want to argue and then they want to escalate. And then before you know it, they're getting arrested. And then they're in the car yelling and they're freaking out. And I'm like, what? You should have just left.
Could have
The
avoided
cop was
this.
letting you go.
Yep.
But you wanted to prove a point and you didn't like that he was telling you to leave. And you had this whole attitude about it. And now you're sitting in jail. I was like, this is interesting. That's crazy to me. Like this is this authority figure, right? And they just don't want to listen to him.
Yeah.
See,
And I've seen it so many of these videos.
that was one of the things that it was almost like a mandatory class, but it was just informal. That your uncles or your older next door neighbors or your friends' older brothers would teach you how to act with
Yeah.
cops. That was something that we sat down
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and learned. He says, you don't do this, you don't do this. This is
Yeah.
what you do. You say
Yeah.
yes, sir. If they tell you to move, you move. If you tell you this and this, that's how you act with cops.
Yeah.
And now it's even more important for young guys. Show your hand. Don't get stupid.
Right.
But I don't know if anybody's teaching youngsters now how to act with authority figures like that.
Well, I don't think they are. I mean, because that's funny you say, because I think I got that speech, when I started driving, like it was like, okay, this is what happens if you get pulled over, this is what you need to do. And I was like, okay, like,
And it does. It stems from, respecting your elders on top of respecting authority. I
yeah,
mean, if the child doesn't respect their parents because you guys just want to be like best friends, like what happens there,
he's not
right?
gonna
There's
respect
a total
anybody.
big
Yeah.
disconnect.
Yeah.
And tell them the truth. Like sometimes people get pulled over Oh, I didn't know how fast I was going. Bullshit. Sometimes if you just tell them like, yeah, I screwed up, man. I was going too fast. I was trying to get home. Sometimes they'll let you
Yeah.
off.
Oh yeah,
You
I've
know,
gotten off a lot of tickets because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, just being straight up, just be like, dude, that guy was trying to beat me at that lane, and I was like, no, I'm not having it, and I went in front of him, and the
Yeah.
cop's like, yeah, I actually saw that. Okay, man, and he's cool, and I'm just like, yeah,
No, I have to admit, this is like the wimpiest thing I ever did with a cop, but it got me out of a speeding ticket.
hmm
We're coming in, we're on a little family vacation, and my ex-wife was saying, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom." I said, "Okay, there's some restaurants down there. I'll go." So I was speeding up, and then here's the highway patrol. That's California pulls me
hmm
over, and then she goes, "Give me the ticket because I had to pee." And the guy looked at me, and he didn't give me a ticket. He
Oh,
let
he
me
did
he
it
let me slide
because she
Nice.
said that,
because she said
Oh,
that.
that was nice.
and you were just like, hey,
Yeah,
and he was like, all right, I'll give you a break.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, you got lucky on that one, yeah, because those guys love to give tickets.
Yeah, yeah.
CHP,
Speeding
you ain't
ticket
getting
would
out of
have
nothing.
doubled my car insurance.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
said when your family comes into town, you bring them here at this gym.
Well, I have adult children,
Okay.
and so my son is like 40, what, 42, 43. And so when he comes in, he's the father of the two girls. So when he comes in, he and I come here. Sometimes my daughter, who's 36, if she visits me, I bring her here. I brought her here.
Mhm.
And then one time my son-in-law was here,
Oh,
who's
okay.
married to my youngest daughter, and I brought him here. So every time, guys want to work out, I said, you want to go to 24-hour fitness? I said, forget it. I'm gonna take you to a real gym.
Hmm. That's great.
My point being is that it's never too late to instill in that. So they see it in you and like, hey, I'm gonna go with dad to the gym. Yeah, that's awesome that they want to jump on board with you because they see it in you. And then eventually the grandkids will get to see that same trend as well too. Talking about the proper mentoring, never too late.
Yeah, I agree.
I was gonna ask you, so are you on any meds at all? Like any, health, any high blood pressure med, anything like that?
You know, this is where, again, I'm blessed with good genes
Yeah.
in that I'm embarrassingly healthy.
Awesome.
What?
No my blood pressure is low,
Mhm.
no diabetes, no asthma, no heart disease, no anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a gift given to me. Now I got to add to that and make myself
Mhm.
even a stronger immune system by working out. Make myself even have lower blood pressure by doing cardio and lifting. You know,
Well, I mean, I personally believe you being active your whole life was probably a huge part of that, man. I mean, really, because a lot of people your age, I mean, it's like, what kind of meds are you on? Even in my age, like when I go to the doctors, they're like, oh, they're like surprised that I'm not on any meds,
yeah,
and I'm like, no, I don't take any meds. And they're like, oh, and it's shocking to them. I'm
yeah.
just like, I guess when you're in your 50s, you should be taking something, or they're used to people in their 50s and up being on meds,
Yeah.
some type of meds. And
I have to admit, I like that. I
yeah,
like when they ask me a question. And what medication do you want? I said none.
they're
And they
like,
get this
none.
shock,
Yeah,
none. So yeah, I'm a few supplements,
right.
because I like to lift weights. But
Yeah,
other than that,
I think that's how it should be, man. I mean, you take care of yourself.
try to.
Funny you should say my sister with the two girls on the Big Island. She's about your age. She had a check-in. She had to do surgery on her arm. They asked her like, what meds? And she's like, nothing. They're like, wait, what? She's like, nothing.
Yeah,
Why is that? Is that uncommon? She tripped out too.
yeah.
But she lives in the country in the Big Island, and they try to eat really well and take care of themselves. But I mean, it's another big pharma conspiracy to why they
Yeah.
like to dish out meds.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Well, I think they're just honestly, I think they're used to just people, especially in their 50s and up, probably 50s and up. They're used to people being on meds.
Yeah,
They're like, fill out the sheet with all the meds are on.
right.
And everybody's like filling it out. I'm like,
yeah. My primary care doctor a couple of years ago said, "Oh, your cholesterol may be a little high." 'Cause that's when I'm eating steaks like 3 times a week
okay,
for protein.
yeah,
And he says, "Here, I want to put you on the statin."
Oh
Oh.
gosh.
I said, "No way am I going to take a statin." He
Yeah.
goes, "But the 10-year this, he has some computer algorithm." I said, I'll look, I'll deal with it. I'll come back. You can check me next time."
Good.
And
Smart.
so I just cut off the, so much red meat.
But
Oh,
at
and
the
that
same
that was
time, like
huge.
how we were talking about before, from back in the 70s and 80s, the testosterone and cholesterol levels in comparison to now, the scales are completely changed.
Yeah.
And I think that's part conspiracy too.
You think so? Yeah, the
I do. I
food
certainly
and
do.
yeah.
Yes.
No, that's the statins, which for people who don't know what a statin is, it's a medication that they give you to help lower cholesterol. But it causes all kinds of side effects.
Hmm.
And if you don't need to be, if you don't have to be on one, don't do it. Even if the doctor suggests you want to be on a statin, then you say, well, what are my alternatives? Okay, well, and then a lot of doctors don't know what the
Yep.
alternative is,
Mm.
are about diet change and exercise and just being more active, etc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cutting out seed oils,
Yeah,
fried foods.
yeah, all that.
I mean,
And
simple
before
things.
they told you like, oh, egg yolks are bad because of the
Hmm.
cholesterol, but it's the cholesterol in the egg yolks that you need, like the good
Yeah,
cholesterol, right? So like that's why it's ever evolving and ever changing, and
yeah,
a lot of it is big pharma money.
yeah.
I'm adamant about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
You know,
know.
when my guy suggested he wanted to put me on statins, uh, I looked it up, and statins are $1 billion industry in the United States. And I go,
Like, well,
forget
there you
that,
go.
Yeah.
forget that.
Could you imagine the
Number.
diabetes industry as well too,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
Since that's like another epidemic,
Yeah,
diabetes.
Insulin and metformin and yeah.
yeah, everybody's done metformin.
Oh, everybody gets on metformin. I know.
Just about every patient of mine that I take care of,
They're on it.
'cause I deal with psychiatric and mental health issues, but also
Mm.
I'm a medical doctor, and their diabetes is out of control. That affects their mental illness.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Wow.
everybody's on metformin. I said, "How'd you get on this?" "Well, the doctor said I should be on it." Say, "Your blood sugar's fine." So
Oh
it's a
wow.
whole big,
You
Just
see how like
it's-
health makes a big difference, right? Like your lipids and all of that makes a big difference on your mental health. People take that for granted. It's unfortunate that they just think, oh, we'll just cross that bridge. We'll figure out when we cross that bridge, take some, pill or whatever, what have you. But it's a
it all goes together.
ongoing cascading effect once you take one and then the next, the
yeah.
next.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, how do you feel about, you know, drugs that are being used for mental health? Like, I mean, what's your thoughts on prescribing drugs
Okay.
for mental health?
So, here I am sort of knocking metformin and statins and all
Yeah.
that. We're in a new era of just pharmacologic amazing things. They got amazing stuff out there now that addresses real illness. The problem is that they're too quick to prescribe it and don't give people opportunities to see if they could help themselves that don't require medication.
Yeah.
Because every medication has side effects.
Hmm.
Most medications have multiple side effects. So when it comes to mental illness, I deal with seriously mentally ill. The people down in Waikiki that are yelling and screaming to themselves and they're all running
Oh
naked
yeah.
in the street.
Jeez.
You
So
got those.
so those
We got them
folks
outside here.
those folks need, yeah, out here in front of me.
Right. Yeah.
Those folks need medication to help stabilize them. But
Okay.
once they're stable, then you could be a little creative.
Okay.
And there are see, I'm not hesitant to use medications for mentally ill patients, but I also don't throw them at people. If you kind of get that distinction. So, like, there's a lot of things that medications really help. Psychiatric medication,
Hmm.
okay? And in those cases, I don't hesitate. You instruct a patient, you give them the information, and it basically is their choice. I can't force people to take psych meds unless they're brought in by the cops, and then only one-time emergency.
Hmm.
So the rest of my patients, you have to convince them to take the meds. So if
Mm.
you're throwing all kinds of crap at people, you have to be smart about them.
What's your opinion on psychedelics for mental health?
I think that's a whole new area. I think people knew about that for a long time.
Yes.
They
They
kind
were
of hushed it
studying
for a
the
while.
LSD
Yeah.
for a
Yeah,
while.
but it's
Yeah.
it's coming back around, and I certainly have studied it. Uh, I'm not a psychedelic practitioner. There are some psychiatrists I know in town that specialize in
Oh yeah.
psychedelic practitioner mental health. You know, ketamine, psilocybin.
I've experimented with ketamine before
Yeah,
with that.
and I've never tried ketamine. So, but based on the data, it seems to be very helpful in certain depressions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, you take a dose of ketamine, all of a sudden your mood is regulated again, and it's where the antidepressants now are very good, but they take maybe 3 weeks to work, and then
Mm.
people gain weight.
Or you
Oh.
freaking diarrhea 10 pounds is getting into your system, right? Because of the
Yeah.
serotonin in the digestive system. Like I went through that one time.
Yeah, and then you put somebody on Zoloft, that's a very common antidepressant.
Mhm.
It wrecks your gut, like you
Yeah.
said, you get
Oh,
diarrhea.
really? Oh.
And so you got to be creative about this.
I know that they were studying LSD with PTSD patients for a long time, and some of them were actually military that they were doing, and then they kind of did the um, LSD and as well the psilocybin. So I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of benefits to it, and it's still under study. I think it works, but like everything else, like how you're saying, how we've mentioned before, the devil's in the dose, right?
Yep. Devils and devils.
And, so to answer your question, I think that psychedelics have a very important part in mental illness. But just like antidepressants or mood stabilizers or antipsychotics, I'm not just going to throw them at you
Yeah.
if you have a couple symptoms. So that I feel the same way about psychedelics.
Yeah.
That you have to be equally cautious about prescribing them.
There's also some people think you just take it and all of a sudden things get better. Like, do you actually have to prep yourself when you do something on that magnitude because you kind of have to set yourself for like what answers you're looking for, I guess you could say. And if you go in with the wrong intention or you're not mentally prepped yourself for it, I don't think it could be as effective.
See, back in the day, this is really dating myself. I don't know. If you guys ever heard the term trip captain?
Trip
Trip
captain?
captain.
Trip
Is
captain?
that the guy who overwatches the people going through?
That's the one guy who doesn't do drugs
Yeah, the guy that
and
overwatches
makes sure
people.
that people on LSD don't jump out of the
Mhm.
window.
Okay.
Called trip captain.
Yeah.
And also, if people start freaking out, the trip captain is there to it's like a therapist
Yeah.
to sort of help you through the experience.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And so now, call my colleague of mine who does a lot of ketamine treatment. I don't call him a trip captain, but that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guided stuff and helping people that's starting to freak out a little bit. They bring them back and all
Yeah.
this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a guide or shaman. They
Yeah.
call them, they got names for those guys too.
Psilocybin sitter.
Yeah. Psilocybin sitter.
Trip captain. That's
Trip
the old
captain,
one.
yeah.
Trip
Captain,
captain.
I like
man.
that one.
There's
Captain.
usually a babysitter if you're doing it proper. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people just think, oh, they pop whatever and have
Take
bad
off.
trips and
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
the healing that they need.
Man, that's yeah.
Escapism is another thing I see a lot from people doing psychedelics. They escape their reality so much and they're in a different realm, have you, and they don't know how to integrate, their that realm into reality. So they just end up in that constant loop doing the psychedelics over and over and over again. And then they just become a drug addict, right?
Yeah.
So
So again, these are powerful psychoactive medications
Right.
that
Mm.
you need to be very careful with. Just because, ketamine's so cool. No, ketamine's not cool.
No.
Ketamine is a very powerful psychoactive drug that, when used properly in the right environment, can be very helpful for a person's mental health.
yeah,
But, you don't just start doing ketamine
yeah.
just to get high.
Or know somebody who knows somebody can get some
Well, there are
ibogaine or
people that-
ayahuasca,
there are
and they just
people-
do it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
just
I mean, there are
do.
people that use it just for
Yeah.
partying.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of it. I never tried it myself, but I've
Oh,
heard
yeah.
of people doing
Yeah.
it. Like,
Kept people
taking
falling.
it at the party, you know,
I
or
mean, and
whatever.
they're also to the bad trip sitters where they may have the product and they just want the money for it. So they're like, yep, here, have fun,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ah,
Yeah, that's
interesting. But
because I know like MDMA right now. That's another one too. You know, that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
People they're big on like for like PTSD. They were saying, and even for like people in like relationships and stuff
You know, I,
to help with
I,
that.
I don't just blank out stuff or deny stuff,
Right.
but we live in a scientific world. This stuff is these medications, even though they may have a natural origin, are still chemicals.
Yep.
Mhm,
And these chemicals have profound effects in your brain. And so let's study this
Yeah.
before you start just throwing this around.
mhm. Yeah.
That's how I feel about, I mean, not to switch subjects, but like a lot of people in the industry, when they want to start dabbling in gear,
Yeah.
they don't understand the chemistry behind it. And then there's, oh yeah, my bro just told me to do that, so I'm doing it. And they don't realize the repercussions that and the consequences that may occur have you dabble down that street, with
Hmm.
whether it be psychedelics or gear, same
Yeah.
goes.
Well, yeah, like I mean, we've talked about it, right? The younger people, especially just getting on steroids at an early age, like, let me just take this. I want to get big. I want to compete, not realizing the long-term effects
Yep.
of what's going to happen in 10 years.
Man, I was begging this endocrinologist. I said,
And
man, I work out 6 days a week. And
yeah,
look at this. I have no biceps.
yeah.
And
Well, you got some
he
muscle.
goes, you're not working out hard enough because it's not, he goes, your testosterone is fine. So don't blame the testosterone. I was looking for a little quick
You were like, give
fix.
me some juice, doc.
Just
You're like,
give me some of
get
that
me on
little,
a cycle, man.
give me that little paste you could just put on. That's all I wanted.
Yeah,
But
wow. I mean,
nah,
that's great. Your numbers are good, man.
yeah.
Jeez.
At your age,
Like,
your numbers
yeah.
Well,
are
see,
phenomenal.
there's a real myth about testosterone lowering as you get older. If you're if you're eating potato chips, laying on the couch and watching Netflix all day, yeah, your testosterone is going to go down. But if you stay active, you're engaged mentally, you're engaged physically, you're engaged socially, testosterone doesn't go down necessarily.
Mhm.
Especially, man, I remember the first time when had my trainer here, and he had me doing deadlifts,
Yeah.
and I was always kind of wimpy. I didn't want to do heavy. The one day he goes, you could do 225, and that's
Yeah.
nothing for you guys, but for me it was a lot. I did a couple reps. I was like, I needed a trip captain. I was euphoric. I remember I said, "Holy shit! Is this how you feel when you lift heavy?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I got to lift heavy more often."
Right?
Oh, because it was just amazing.
You get that high, man.
Get
Yeah.
crazy high.
Hmm. That's why people get addicted to this, come in here and lifting and
So, out of curiosity, you used to be a marathon runner.
Yeah.
At what mile did you start to feel the euphoria?
That's a good
7,
question.
8 miles?
Nah, probably not till about. See, during the first 10, um, I could beat anybody for 10 miles. I could run 10 miles in like 53 minutes.
Damn.
Uh, uh, but then after that, you have to shift into a different gear because the 10 miles is a sprint. As far as when you're a long distance runner, 10 miles is a sprint. So you get to 10 miles, and all of a sudden you go, okay, I got 16 more miles to go. And your brain and your body sort of naturally goes into this other thing where I remember when I'd be running from 10 to 20, I would look at my shadow and I would just look at my shadow and all of a sudden I hit 20 miles. I go, oh shit.
wow.
And then 20 to 26 was a whole nother thing. But so for me, it was not until like 10 miles.
Wow. So you didn't get that runner's high that they would call
Oh
until
yeah.
after 10.
But,
That's a
but it
long
took me 10
way.
miles.
It took you 10
And
miles.
then how long does it take you to get that euphoria or that high lifting weights?
I did a couple sets of
Instantly like that?
225
Boom.
deadlifts and I was like ready to
Yeah, let's go.
take off.
That's
Oh,
great,
that
man.
is awesome. I can see how you made the switch over a lot easier, transitioning from marathon running to Strength training.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, fun.
Well, what would you give, just advice to people as far as like, how do you, where you're at your age, and how do you get there, to your point
Longevity
now, like
secret.
your point of where you're at now,
Okay.
and
Well,
you're in great shape.
okay.
What would be the one thing,
The thing that I would most emphasize is that it's never too late to start.
Mhm,
Guys say, "Oh, I'm 70. I can't lift weights now." It's nah, shit. You're young. You still could do it. Now you have to do it smartly.
mhm,
I'd recommend getting a trainer
mhm.
if you haven't done it for a while or if you're just starting.
Yeah.
But I tell people you're never too old, and you could start building from where you are. You could have a bunch of regrets. Oh, I smoked cigarettes. Oh, I did this. It's okay. Don't do it anymore. Don't drink alcohol. Don't smoke cigarettes. And get to the gym. Start eating healthy. Start taking care of your brain. Getting good sleep. That sort of stuff. And I think people would just be amazed at how well they feel
Mm,
after maybe 6 months. You got to stick with it though. After a while, all of a sudden you go, wow, I feel pretty good.
yeah.
I wake up in the morning and, I got a few aches and pains, but that's no big deal. And I'm ready to go for it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
That's
great. That's great
awesome.
advice, man.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
that when I ever do retire, I was thinking of, enrolling in a really rigorous training course
Oh
for
yeah.
being a trainer
Okay.
and then specializing in working with older people.
Cool.
Oh,
That's a good
okay.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah, we don't know when that's gonna
when
happen.
I get old. I'll
When
tell
when
you.
you
When
retire,
you get old.
when you get old, that could be a
I'll
while.
think about it on my 80th birthday.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be a while. Yeah, well, that's great, man. Well, thank you for coming on,
No, my
Pablo.
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no,
My pleasure. It's
it's great.
motivating being around you guys.
No, now we
Yeah.
are newly inspired by you. Now we got personal goals to stay as healthy as you are. So when
That's
we get
right.
your age, we're still moving about as well as you do.
And the thing is, let's do this again in a couple years when I'm 75,
Okay.
and I'll make a record now how much I'm lifting now, and I guarantee you when I'm 75, I'm gonna be lifting more than I am now.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah, that's great, man. We'll see if you pack on some more size too.
Yeah.
Yeah, get
Naturally.
those arms
Oh,
bigger.
Lord, you got biceps.
Naturally,
Finally, you have
maybe
some
you'll
biceps.
get on a cycle or something. Who knows?
Yeah. No,
No,
no
no,
drugs, no drugs.
no, no drugs, no drugs. All right. You got anything, Jid?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on
My
again.
pleasure.
Yeah, we'll be
Thank
seeing you
you.
in the gym.
Yeah, can't keep me
Killing
away,
those
man.
weights, man.
Can't
All
keep me
right.
away.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.